Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, and this is your Cannabis Business Podcast. Today, we are live at the World Trade Center in Seattle talking about Budtenders. They're the critical link between bankruptcy and billions. Today, we're here with some fascinating guests. And so we're going to jump right into our panelists here. First, we have Alec Langston. He's a budtender at Dockside Cannabis. Alec has been a cannabis enthusiast for several years and has been budtending for about 3 years now. His passion is educating people about cannabis and budtending, which has been a great outlet for that, being a budtender. His goal is to help as many people and experience this wonderful plant as possible. His favorite part of the cannabis industry is changing that perception of cannabis skeptics and watching customers benefit from the guidance that's incredibly rewarding. And he's looking forward to developing within this industry and meeting new people along the way. We also have Brian Yeager, CEO of LemonHaze.com. LemonHaze is a cannabis tech platform with a history of presenting industry data and more recently hosting events with a focus on budtenders, which is providing innovative and relevant education, networking opportunities, and business exchanges along with nationally recognized entertainers who have a prominent voice in the normalization and growth of recreational cannabis industry. Ashley is a budtender at Green Lady Pot Shop in Olympia. She's a budtender in Olympia with a medical marijuana certificate. Rebecca Berry is a senior account manager at Work. Work is an all-in-one workforce management solution for highly regulated markets, including the cannabis industry. They've created an intuitive application to manage payroll, HR, timekeeping, and tax compliance with everything you need to streamline operations, reduce labor costs, and minimize regulatory risk. And also, remotely is Claire Kaufman, Director of Client Services at Brightfield Group. Claire's nationally known CBD and cannabis business and marketing strategist. She currently works as the Director of Client Services at the Brightfield Group, an industry-leading CBD and cannabis market research firm. Claire has worked in the CBD and cannabis space for the past 7 years. She's worked in-house for vertically integrated cannabis companies and formerly as a Northwest Regional Director for BDS Analytics. Claire has also recently served on the OLCC, Recreational Marijuana Business Council in Oregon. Her take on the future trends of the cannabis industry and the question facing marketers and entrepreneurs are sought out by national and international media, cannabis industry leaders, and key players in the traditional marketing world. I'd like to thank everybody for being on board and being on the Talking Hedge podcast. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
And about the World Trade Center, the World Trade Center Tacoma grows trade and investment by providing direct access to the largest business network in the world with 300 offices in 99 countries. The World Trade Center in Tacoma is a lone trade service center for the Pacific Northwest. They have seminars and award ceremonies, conferences that can generate contacts and contracts. Trade research can clarify opportunities, and their matchmaking can turn those opportunities into trade. One of the things that I like about the World Trade Center is it gives me peace of mind knowing that I can use international guarantees or bank guarantees as a member. And also the e-commerce export store, they've partnered with Alibaba, which is translated into 18 languages and provides an opportunity to sell your product online internationally to hard-to-reach places like Asia. So I want to dive into why budtenders are quitting. I did an interview with a local union group, the UFCW Local 21, and the adult use retailer with Have a Heart. I did an interview, Ryan, but they made history being the first group to create a union between the union and the adult Rex cannabis retailer. That relationship is quite unusual in a very positive sense, said UFCW Local President 21. Todd Crosby. He said it's rare for an employer and their employees to reach a first contract so quickly and one that's so promising for its current and future employees. These partnerships strengthen individuals, families, and communities and lead to superior service for customers. The contract was intended to improve wages and benefits and provide the workers with a voice in the workplace. And the new agreement includes comprehensive health and welfare coverage and other benefits, as well as training, mentoring programs, and staff development opportunities. The Have a Heart CEO said that at Have a Heart, they believe that they're doing good. They consistently strive to have a positive impact in the neighborhood, to do business, and seeing that partnership with the union as part of the commitment to creating a safe and empowering workplace. And yet at the end of the day, we're still seeing that turnover happening. The dollar amount that you can attribute to each hiring and firing is about $2,000 to hire and train a budtender. And so we can maybe look at unionizing as one strategy to try and retain employees. Ashley, what else can companies do to try and make sure employees don't walk out the door?
Definitely compensate them for their time and education. I mean, depending on experience, that is what a lot of us were hired on, depending on experience. Well, I have a lot more experience than the other fresh 21-year-old that just walked in that has, that just wants to sell weed for a living, for just a job for right now, and yet we still get paid the same amount. So I don't think that's really taken to heart as a lot of other companies, as a Walmart would do, or a pharmaceutical company. Even if you have a lot more experience, they're going to put you where you belong to begin with, not start you from the bottom.
Alec, what's your take? What else do you think that companies can try and do to make sure employees don't walk out the door?
I think a big part of it is trust. A big thing when I got to Dockside, like I had experience, right? I didn't necessarily need someone kind of looking over my shoulder to tell me what to do all the time, and sometimes that can, get on my nerves, or other people's nerves, right? So when I got to Dockside, it was just like, okay, go, have fun, like, do your thing. And like, I feel like, oversight is important and all, but just trusting that your budtenders, or having the ability to trust your budtender and what they're doing and how they're doing it, I think is a big thing, instead of trying to, puppet master kind of everything. I think that's a big thing.
Yeah, Brian, what's your take on it?
So it's funny. I'm fortunate in our role that we get to know a lot of these retail owners. They're our customers, and as we're talking about, we've got that 30-something% that consider it a calling, and we've got that 10 or 12% that are trying to work their way up in management. Maybe they've got a degree. They're trying to do that. The problem is that leaves 60% that, like Ashley just said, 21-year-old, maybe I'm going to college, maybe I'm not. I just want to make some little money. I want to get discounts on my pot. And like anything else in this world, you get more frustrated by the ones or you're affected more by the ones that frustrate you than the ones that do things right. And and even as a business owner myself, and knowing a lot of these guys, look, I mean, I don't know about Dockside or Green Lady, but I don't even know if they're offering benefits. I mean, that's a huge thing in my company of what I do with my employees is offering benefits. So I mean, it's going to be hard to get somebody that may have started in their early 20s and didn't really care, but now they're getting into 30 and they really want to, and if they're not getting benefits, that's huge in this country right now. I think so, but at the same time, like I said, not at the same time, but talking to a lot of these retail owners, they get frustrated by the 60% that are just there that are in and out the door, and that are doing this or that. And what ends up making the dynamic also add to that intrigue with it, and this really doesn't have to do that much with budtender retention, but it has to do a little bit with brand retention, because the brands now are also looking at it as they're trying to market the budtenders because they want to get the two of you. But in order to get to the two of you, they have to give swag and spend a lot of money on 4 other people that don't really care. And so it's been really interesting. I was talking to Patrick, CEO of Soulshine, today. I don't think he'll mind me calling his name out on this one, because he went through, it's been really funny. I've known Patrick for a long time. And he has gone through with us a big series of what he puts his marketing budget towards budtenders and what he doesn't. He put a whole bunch in early and said, like we talked about, didn't know about the ROI, pulled it back out. Now he starts putting it back in. And then he's coming to me and saying, Brian, you've got to do more and more often, because the turnover is so fast that we have to get to these guys at least once a quarter, because we know we're going to have the Ashleys and everybody back, probably for 2 to 3 a year, but we got to get to all those other ones. And so they're starting to realize that marketing budget has to go to that, because at the end of the day, you've got to talk to all those guys, and they turn over a lot. And that marketing budget is not cheap. I mean, that's not cheap for these guys, and not all of them are making, as you, I'm sure, have talked about 100 times in this podcast, contrary to popular belief, everybody thinks that every marijuana is making millions and millions of dollars. And the reality is there's 2 or 3 of them that are. The rest of us are plugging along as fast as we can. So I mean, just kind of a little thought out there that I had.
I think the turnover that I have witnessed in the last 3 years has been more of tenders migrating from retail shop to retail shop. I think the high turnover rate of new unqualified staff would be comparable to any industry. And I know in 2018, through a quick Google search, I found that 1 in 4 low-level employees have an average immediate turnover rate. And so I think that we need to treat the cannabis industry with the same perspective of a restaurant or a dry cleaners or a retail clothing store. It's the same. There's always going to be, a 20-25% turnover with new entry-level team members because they're entry level. They don't necessarily know everything that's expected. And in that training period where HR departments do, for the most part, a pretty good job showing daily expectations, work product requirements, team member goals, perhaps that individual, it may not be something that's cut out for them. And during that training process, they saw that it wasn't the right fit and they move on to another venture in life.
Right. And just to kind of add on to Zara's point too, I think a lot of budtenders, again, I would like to reiterate what I said, before, is it really depends as to what the budtender is looking for. Are they just looking for a job where they show up? Or are they looking for a job where they want to excel, gain contacts, maintain relationships? And I think that's one key variable as to why the turnover rate is so high is because, kind of taking your words, sometimes people come to the industry thinking that's a party. And it's a very fun, exciting industry to be a part of, but there's a lot of work involved and there's a lot of education that's involved as well, too, especially for frontline employees, which kind of leads to the next thing as well, is education. Now, maybe Zara could touch a little bit on this point, but anecdotally speaking, one thing I've saw when I'm in the field and I'm going to retailers and I'm talking to budtenders is a lot of times at the smaller stores, I've noticed that the turnover rate is a little bit higher. And that may be because since it's a smaller store, there's less, manpower. There's people who have to allocate more time to the direct
I think the smaller stores, they don't have the ability because from what, and I'm sorry to cut you off, Tyler, but from what I understand from knowing many owners of retail shops is the profit margin of retail shops ranges from about 11 to 16%. And the smaller shops don't have the budget for full health care, for paid time, besides the minimum Washington paid time off, for holiday pay, for retirement accounts. And so the larger shops that provide all of those extra incentives, just like any other industry, will have a lower turnover rate and a higher retention because of the benefits they're able to offer.
Precisely. Yeah, I think human resources, if there's one key takeaway from this question, it would be the human resources aspect. I think a lot of the smaller stores, they don't necessarily have the time and the budget to allocate to things like creating a policy, creating benefits for their employees, creating an education program. And, we're actually kind of advancing a little bit forward. So I know there's great organizations that came out. One is called Budtender, and Budtender is educating, it's bridging the gap between producer processors and the budtenders. So it's actually educating budtenders about various products that are available, which again,
for free,
really helpful. And it's for free too for retailers. And I think, in my personal opinion, I think it's going to be very beneficial for the frontline employees because they're actually going to get, a third-party assistance in terms of education, learning about products, meeting new people, figuring out different strain types and varieties that brands offer. And that's also going to increase sales for the frontline and retailers. But I think HR is a key factor as to why the turnover rate is so high amongst budtenders in the cannabis industry.
And with that, we're going to roll this one up. I'm Josh Kincaid. This is the Talking Hedge. I want to thank all my guests for being here with the Budtender panel. That's Alec Langston, who's a Budtender at Dockside Cannabis. Brian Yeager right here, CEO of lemonhaze.com. We have Ashley Herkett, Budtender at Green Lady Pot Shop in Olympia. On the line with us is Rebecca Berry, Senior Account Manager at Work. And also on the line with us is Claire Kaufman, Director of Client Services at Brightfield Group.
Previously recorded is Tom Geiger, Communications Director of a union in Seattle, UFCW 21. Also, Kara Bradford and David Moret, co-founders at Viridian Staffing. And Zara Cole and Tyler Nestorenko of Budtenders Ball.
So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't, and I'm out.